Well, welcome to a new version of On Point Live. Hi, everybody. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams quarterback, and alongside me is my former teammate, NFL legend and Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. And Jackie, we're going to talk about some great things this week. But how about this new studio we've got?
Do you love it?
Man,
we're moving on up.
You know what?
Just like George and Wheezy.
That's right.
We're moving on up.
Manhattan Beach Studios.
How about that? On Point. We got the illustrator.
Oh, well, we're going to
draw some plays.
We're going to have some fun today, Jackie.
Oh, yeah,
we're going to talk about
nice.
the games. We're going to talk about the NFC wackiest games we've ever seen in the championship game. We're going to talk about some individual and team matchups. We'll feature our illustrator, and Jackie will talk about his favorite play. I'll talk about my favorite play. We have some surprising news from some coaching changeovers. That's just broke today, so we'll give you some insight on that. And also we'll end up with Jackie's favorite phrase.
What in the world?
What in the world, man?
What in the world
did you
was he
see?
thinking? What in the world was he thinking?
Oh, I'm telling you, Jackie, we always have fun with that. But I'm telling you, we have to start off with that Eagles and 49ers game. And, I mean, that was one of the flukiest injuries I think I've ever seen. And have you ever seen a player like that get hurt in a championship game?
I've never seen back-to-back quarterbacks injured doing the exact same thing, looking downfield. And Vince, they were looking downfield with the front side of the protection right there in front of them. This guy came from the front side, not the blind side, and both times it was just a perfect match with him getting his hands out on those quarterbacks as they were trying to go through, and then look at what happened. Both of them had the same injury, and you lose both quarterbacks, number 3 and 4 in that particular case. So it was off.
But
it
Jackie,
was awesome.
If you're game planning this, Hassan Riddick is rushing from the onside, and you're trying to block this defensive lineman with a tight end. I mean, you need 2 tight ends, let alone one offensive tackle.
Absolutely. I mean, this was definitely a game planning flaw. Offensively by the offensive coordinator. You can't expect that to happen. This guy was a first-round draft choice. First of all, we probably should talk about one of the reasons why the general manager at Arizona got fired. They played this guy out of position as an off-ball linebacker. This guy's a pass rusher, and that was clearly obvious this past week. This guy can get off the edge. He can put pressure on tackles, and he can impact the game from that position. So the general manager at the Arizona Cardinals, he's fired, but bless his heart, I see why. That's one of the reasons right there.
Well, Riddick was a construction Mongol. I mean, he was disrupting everything, not even in the passing game, and also in the running game.
In the running game as well. He's explosive. What he is he was the best defender on the field in that game.
He really was. And this opening line of this Super Bowl game, Jackie, that it was funny because the Chiefs came out as a 2.5-point favorite, which is unusual because now the Eagles are favored by 1.5 points. So there must have been a lot of movement on part of the Philadelphia team. But Jackie, going into this game, would you think the Philadelphia would be favored in this Super Bowl game?
Well, I wouldn't think just going into it in light of the road that they travel versus the road that the Kansas City Chiefs travel. But the reality of it all is this is the way the prognosticators see it happening. There's a very real possibility in the mind of bettors in my mind that it could happen this way. But for me, there's no way that should happen that way. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to dominate this ball game for the most part, simply because they got bigger, more physical, more talented guys in the line of scrimmage.
So the physicality, you think, is going to overtake the innovative, explosive kind of offense that the Chiefs can present to the Chiefs.
Absolutely, and it should keep Jalen Hurts and their offense on the field longer. And you know what it means when you're on the field longer than your opponent. You got more opportunities to score. They have less opportunities to score, and that's where the difference comes in a big game like that. I happen to believe that football is a big man's game, Vince. And a good big man is always better than a good little man. I know Marshall Faulk or Eric Dickerson wouldn't appreciate me saying that because they're little guys that ran with the football. But they got this offensive line is averaging 324 pounds across the board. They're technically sound. They do things really well, I noticed, and they're physical. They're nasty guys. So I think that's going to be the difference in this game.
Well, Jackie, that's a really good point. And along with that goes the time of possession. I think last week the Eagles had the ball 37 minutes.
Absolutely.
The 49ers had the ball 23 minutes. That's 15 minutes difference.
Absolutely.
And when you can run the football effectively like that, you can control the game, and that all happens up front, as you're right. But Jackie, the road to the Super Bowl, as you mentioned, is sometimes easily traveled, and sometimes there's a lot of bumps on the road. And I think Philadelphia really had an easy schedule since they clinched their division. They, of course, weren't expected to go this far this season anyway with Nick Sirianni. But, as you look at this game, is it a road? Do you think that the Chiefs should be at least, because they had the tougher road, do you think they should be better off?
Well, I mean, you would think so, because you and I talk about this all the time, Vince. The team with the tougher schedule usually play better when the games really, really matter. But the thing that you have to consider when you look at this Philadelphia Eagle football team is how dominant they were in the games that they won. I mean, they killed the fly with a bomb. They didn't kill it. They didn't take a fly swatter and get rid of the fly. They took a bomb and blew them up. Wow. So when I see the growth and maturity of Vic Malata and the leadership of their right tackle, these guys are special. There's no doubt about it. It might be the best tandem of tackles in all of pro football right now. And when you got guys like that and you supplement them with big physical guards that play a nasty style of football, it's hard to beat that.
Well, the last time they played, Jackie, last year, the Chiefs beat the Eagles like 40-30. So, and Mahomes threw 5 touchdown passes. So,
absolutely.
Patrick Mahomes is got the it factor, Jackie, and he's got that look in his eye, and that means so much to influence your team in a confident manner.
There's no doubt about it.
So when he calls the plays, he looks into the player's eyes, eye to eye. You believe in him, and what he's done is remarkable. He's in the last 5 years, he's been to 3 Super Bowls.
It's amazing.
And the years he didn't go to the Super Bowl, he was in the AFC Championship game. Have you ever seen a player with that kind of caliber?
No, not at that position. But when you look at the brevity of a career of a running back, I think you would have to put Eric Dickerson in that category. Eric Dickerson came from SMU, and his rookie year, he set the rookie rushing record with over 1,800 yards, and then he doubled down the next year, Vince, and he set the single season rushing record held by the great O.J. Simpson, and he ran for 2,105 yards. Now, it didn't carry on for 3 to 5 years like a quarterback who doesn't take the pounding, but to me, those 2 years that he put together were unique, and they were special for a guy at a different position. But relative to Mahomes, we've never seen it done before. And you can think about all the guys. You can think about Tom Brady. You can think about Elway. You can think about Montana. And the list goes on and on and on. None of those guys were able to duplicate what Patrick Mahomes had done.
Well, I remember Eric Dickerson. I played with him too, Jackie. And I remember his first game that he was a star against the New York Jets in New York. And
my goodness.
All heck broke loose in that game. But when he took off, Jackie, they couldn't catch him. They could not catch him. And, when you talk about catching up to somebody, Mahomes, again, we're talking about this Super Bowl. He has an upper leg injury. He's got a high ankle sprain, Jackie. Do you think he's going to be affected going into this Philadelphia game because of the strength of this defense? I mean, they're number one, Jackie, against the rush. They can put heat on the quarterback. They have 70 sacks this year.
A lot of pressure on the quarterback.
What are they going to do to protect this quarterback?
Well, the good thing is that I've had that injury. And this injury is no joke. It's not the typical sprain where you roll your ankle. This is a high ankle sprain, which means that the pain starts at about the ankle ball there, and it goes up halfway up your leg there to the lateral. And you can't put any weight on your leg. I was surprised. I knew he was aided. I don't know how. They probably did it the way they did with me. He had to have some aid from the medical staff to be able to deal with the pain, because it is a very painful injury. And we saw Cooper Kupp with the Rams not come back. He had a surgery. We saw Aaron Donald not come back. He had a problem with that same injury. This is no joke. And to see him play the way he played last week, it tells me that he will be ready. He's got another couple of weeks now. He will be ready to play, and probably a whole lot more impactful than he was this past week.
He's a competitor, Jackie. I'm telling you, he plays tough, and there's pain that you play through the pain, and he wasn't going to let his team down.
No, there's no doubt about it.
He means too much to this team. Although their backup quarterback has a lot of experience too, but he's nothing like Mahomes.
Nothing like Mahomes.
And Andy Reid believes in this guy. They've been on the same page since he came into the league.
Absolutely. And the guy actually.
How about his combination though? He's got the best receiver he likes.
He's got some receivers there. There's no doubt about
Travis
it.
Kelce.
We were talking. Speaking of Kelce, this is the first time that brothers have faced each other in a Super Bowl. So we got Jason, the center for the Eagles, and Travis, the tight end. Now he's been a little bit nicked up, so it's going to be an interesting scenario. I was thinking about you. You have a brother that's one of the all-time greats in the state of California as a head coach over at Banning High School here in Los Angeles. And how would you, Vince, have felt trying to go against him as a brother? You know he know your strengths and weaknesses. How would you have felt about that matchup?
Man, I just keep thinking about my mom and dad, who they'd root for. You know, they probably have to root for the baby because I was the baby.
They probably root for the baby.
But you know what? When Jim Harbaugh played John Harbaugh in the Super Bowl, they interviewed both parents, and both parents were just. They couldn't pick a side.
Yeah, they could.
But, you know, if
publicly anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But if I'm going against my brother, you know, I'm going to prepare against him because I want to show him what I can do. And I just wouldn't hold anything back. I'd prepare as strong as ever and look forward to that challenge. But these two guys, in their respective positions, are probably the best in the game.
You know, the interesting thing about these two guys, which should make it even more fun for them, they don't have to compete against each other.
No, they don't.
The teams get to compete against each other, but they're both going to be on the field at opposite times. So,
they're both offensive players.
They're both offensive players, so they don't have to hit each other. Yeah. But in your opinion, which one of these brothers, the loss of him to his team would hurt his team the most? Do you think Travis not playing would hurt Kansas City, or do you think Jason not playing would hurt the Philadelphia Eagles the most?
That's a good question, Jackie, because I think both of them are very valuable to their team. But I think in the passing game, when that's your focal point and that's your go-to guy, if I lose that guy, that's going to hamper, especially with Mahomes' injury. That's really going to take him out of the game. You know, but you can put another lineman in there, like you say, but
don't forget,
you know, Jason Kelce.
He's making all the calls.
He makes so many, and it really starts from the center. And Jackie, I've seen some games when I've seen a blur in front of me, and when you look at the replay, that was Jason Kelce running, making a block downfield. He is as fast as some of these wide receivers. He can get around, and you'll probably illustrate a play later how good he is. But I'm telling you, it would be a toss-up. But if I were to pick, I would have to say Jason because I'm a quarterback. I don't want to lose my tight end.
It's an argument. It's a fact that can be argued because I know that the communication coming from the center to the rest of the offensive line is crucial. It just you just cannot play comfortably if that guy isn't designating the rusher, designating the guy that we go to, who the mic is. It's just so much he has to communicate. You know, Vince. When you think about this game, Joey Bosa, he complained a lot in that last game when they played the Eagles, and he was complaining about Lane Johnson being moving too early. But the truth of the matter is, and I like to share
most people think if you have to be stationary before the snap of the ball. But Jackie, if there's any movement, isn't that an offsides penalty?
No, it's not. Okay. Relative to the rule in the National Football League, an offensive lineman, a tackle or a guard, he has the opportunity, if he's in a 2-point stance, to adjust his stagger, as long as his upper torso doesn't move.
Okay, you said it. He's in a 2-point stance. If he's in a 3-point stance, there's no way you can move.
In a 3-point stance, you don't move.
You can't move.
Because if you move, that's the illegal procedure that come get. In a 2-point stance, what has been happening, or the Lane Johnson, he's a very smart guy. He's a Pro Bowl guy, one of the best in the business right now. Lane Johnson, what he did was he got in his 2-point stance with a stagger and anticipating the count before the count before the sign was made, he started his kick slide, and the ball wasn't snapped. But that got Bosa to jump off sides. Exactly, and that's what he was complaining about. But according to the rules, that's an adjustment in your stance, and you're never going to be called for that. And the really smart tackles, he didn't move his torso.
Okay.
The really smart offensive tackles are going to take advantage of that every time because it gives them a jump against guys like Joey Bosa who can really roll and hit that corner.
Right, and you can only move your back leg.
Only your back leg, your stagger leg.
So as a defensive lineman, then I'm not focusing on the guy I'm going up against, although I need to know where he's playing, but I have to look at the snap of the ball.
Absolutely.
So when the ball moves, then I can move.
Absolutely.
So he was kind of looking inside, and some guys will see a guy jump, and then if he theoretically jumps, then you can jump across the line.
Absolutely.
Be called.
But I think that's a mute point after what happened in the San Francisco game. I think those defensive linemen are going to have to hold tight a little bit, which Big John, the right tackle, is going to be able to get off the ball and wreak some early havoc, create some advantage, actually, when you think about it. Now, Vince, one of the things that we talked about a lot this past week, I had a guy that you and I both respect, one of the all-time greats when it comes to analytical work in the National Football League. He said to me, that if Jalen Hurts ran for 50 yards or more, there was no way they were going to lose the ball game. Jalen Hurts had 39 yards rushing against the 49ers. Now, this was the number one defense in all of pro football, and their defense is not that far behind it. The Chiefs' defense was number 11 overall. Right. They was number 8 against the rush, 18th versus the pass, allowing 21.7 points a game. But the defense they're getting ready to play this week is better. Number one in a lot of categories. You mentioned they had 70 sacks this season, which was far and away more than anybody else. How do you think Jalen Hurts' presence in the run game is going to be impacted by this Kansas City Chiefs defense?
Well, I think Chris Jones, of course, he's a dynamic player on defense, Jackie. He's the key to Spagnuolo's defense, and I think the way he played last week against Joe Burrow, they couldn't even double team him. I mean, he was effective on the pass rush. He had like a couple sacks. He was disruptive up front. They didn't run the ball very well last week against the Chiefs. And, when you have an impactful player like that up front, he's going to have to play at the top of his game because Jalen Hurts, not only is he a talented quarterback, okay, he can move, he understands the game, Jackie, and he has something to prove. His background, he went to Alabama, he transferred from Alabama because, but he always kept a great attitude, and he's always kept a mellow mindset to play this game. And as a quarterback, you have ups and downs all the time, but when you keep a level platform in your own mind, you give yourself a lot of motivation to continue to do better. And that's what stands out in quarterbacks today. They want to come back week to week and continue to improve. And Jalen Hurts can do this. He's done it time and time again. But when he runs the ball, they can run what they call an RPO, which is a run-pass option. He has the ability to hand the ball off or throw the ball, depending on how the defense is going to cover the play. And so that makes him a triple threat. And when you have that ability, that makes it very difficult for a defense to defend, especially when the quarterback scrambles and runs.
No doubt.
And when and that stat that you mentioned, if he has 50 yards rushing in a game, the chances of them winning goes way up. That will be something that Spagnuolo will have to pay attention to in his game plan. But again, you're talking about two of the best teams in football, so it should be an entertaining game at that point.
It's going to be an entertaining game, Vince. And when I think of a running quarterback, I think of guys like Lamar Jackson, a lot of design runs for him. But Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, doesn't operate as purely and as clean from the pocket, like a pure pocket passer as Jalen Hurts does. Right. Jalen Hurts sits in the pocket, and you can clearly see this guy going through his progressions and making really consistently really good decisions from that quarterback's position in the pocket.
Right.
And then when you take him and start moving him around and even running him, and him, there's no doubt in my mind. I saw one play where you could clearly see the corners playing man on the outside. The backers turned their back to him and took off. Safety was bailing deep, and there was no one in the middle of the field. Vince, he saw that, and boom, right up the middle of the field, he went for a first down. I think he got 17 yards on that particular play. So he's a smart guy and the type of running quarterback. If I was going to play with a running quarterback, and you know how I feel about this,
yes,
I want my quarterback sitting. I want him sitting right there, so I know where he is, so I can know where I'm protecting. I keep guys off of him. But a guy like this, when he takes off and make plays like that, all he does is slow down the rush. Yep. Guys are going to give you that mush rush, where they come and butt you in the face, get arm extensions on you right there, and then start looking. Right. They're not rushing the quarterback when they're looking. And that's the thing that I think Jalen brings to the table. He can kill you in both areas and makes him a much more difficult guy to defend.
Yeah, he's dynamic, Jackie, that's for sure. And, it's a matter of the system that Nick Sirianni's put him in. And, they operate well because they understand the strengths and weaknesses of what they need to do. And he's come a long way in 1 year. I mean, he started last year thinking, well, are we going to stay with this guy? But when Sirianni got there with their coaching staff, they believed in this.
There was a lot of question about whether or not he was going to make it.
Have you watched his interviews? Post-game interviews.
Goodness.
He's always stayed very firm, very comfortable, very
Demeanor,
focused.
Vinny.
Very focused.
The same demeanor all the time. He doesn't get phased, man. It's stuff.
And that's the way he plays
phase
the game. And Jackie, that's what the guys enjoy about playing with him. I mean, he's a lot like Patrick Mahomes in that way. He's got a lot of excitement about the way he plays the game, and they respond to it, and so I think it's great. And
Vince, the running game is going to be critical in this ball game. I think we both agree about that, and I think there's no good quarterback that's worth his salty sweat who's going to have the success consistently that you need to have at that position unless you have a good running game.
Sure.
Unless you have a good, consistent running back that people are going to, they're going to have to say, hey, we got to defend this guy. Yeah. So do you think that Isaiah Pacheco, I think is the way it's pronounced, do you think he's going to provide enough in the running attack against this defense? Think about Big Fletcher Cox and Riddick and those guys. Do you think he's going to provide enough support?
Well, I think a lot of it's going to come from the coaching game plan and how well they're going to balance up their running attack versus their passing attack, Jackie. And you can't underestimate Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy when they game plan for a team like this. They've been in the Super Bowl, and I'm relying on their experience, Jackie. It means so much to have that experience. As you know, we played the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had 3 years of Super Bowl experience.
Absolutely.
We were all there for our first time. This is a pretty nice day.
I really don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers physically were the team that we were at the time. But they were a much more experienced football team, and it showed.
And they could perform in all aspects of the game, Jackie, with special teams, offense, defense. They made plays when they had to. They can make the big play. They can pound you. They can do everything. But that's similar to what the Eagles do. But the Chiefs have an element of surprise. And that's what they have to build on. And they have 2 weeks to prepare, which is a really good thing. So they're going to have to game plan, some real creative designs. And we'll get on the board here in a minute.
I have no doubt, Vince, I have no doubt in my mind that Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are going to come up with a scheme, with a game plan that's, first of all, going to facilitate their quarterback getting the ball out of his hand as quickly as he possibly can. Their ability to run the ball, they're going to attack the real vulnerable areas of this defense as best they can, and then they're going to let Patrick Mahomes work. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And
I like Isaiah Pacheco, Jackie, because I like the way he runs with an attitude. His body language is awesome. He's fast. He's attentive. He's smart. He knows how to carry the football. He doesn't fumble the ball. So I really like the way they'll run him, but he'll keep the defense honest. Because if without a running game, without a balanced attack, Jackie, as we saw last week, the 49ers, they couldn't throw a lick, right? You can defend one side. You can defend one dimension. Either if you're going to run or you're going to pass. You have to do both.
Well, Vince, I know you and I look at football games a lot differently. Your vantage point as a quarterback. It took me a lot of years before I admit that a quarterback was more valuable to a team than me.
I don't know about that.
But when we looked at when you went and took a look at Kansas City and you picked out a couple of plays that you thought were special, I took a look at the Eagles. And I want to show you.
We're going to have to use our illustrator, Jackie.
Absolutely.
But you know what?
Now is the time to do that.
Let's credit Manhattan Beach Studios, though, for this wonderful set and this illustrator. We've never worked on an illustrator before, but we diagrammed many plays.
You'll have to be patient with my drawings.
Yeah, where's the little pencil at?
It's right
anyway?
Where is the pencil?
I don't know. It's right here. Here you go.
There it is.
You know how to work this thing?
So let's go. Let's go. I'm going to show you one of the runs that I think is going to be crucial.
That Philadelphia did against the 49ers.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
And the 49ers have one of the great defenses.
Absolutely. So let me get over here.
Oh, wait a minute. Here, let me see this thing. Go that way.
There we go. Okay, now we pull this baby up right here.
You can go ahead and...
Now we can start drawing.
All right, sit over there and...
move that down out of the way here.
Okay, here we go.
So I can have all the room. Now this...
Oh, there you go.
This is an interesting scheme here. They put the strength of the offensive formation to the right. They got a tight end right there, and then they got an H or another tight end sitting right there with a wide receiver right there. Now, basically what they've done, and put that back right there, basically what they've done is they've overloaded. They've created the strength of this offensive formation is to the right. On the backside here, they have two really good offensive linemen. And this guy right here weighs 368 pounds.
How tall is he?
He's about 6'8". He is no joke.
Okay.
And this
He's
is what
enormous.
they did. The defense lines up to him like this. They have one high safety right there. They got defensive linemen right here. Sam linebacker,
Strong
and then they had the
safety.
strong safety
Corner
sitting over
here.
there, corner over here, that free safety.
Now you got
in the
your
middle.
two linebackers.
And then this guy right here is number 54. Arguably the defensive player of the year in the National Football League, number 54. He went to the strength because he can make plays over there, and they had the other backer right here. Now you would think that they're going to run the football over there. And there were things that they did over there in this game. But what they really wanted to do was they wanted to feature the 324 pounds that these two guys average right here on the weak side. And this is what they did. They took that.
So they're eventually going to go from center to the left. They got man on man.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
they
they basically got
this way.
three guys up blocking three guys if you don't count this. And this is what they did. They sit this guy on a tight outside angle to get movement here. They sent these two on a single block, which means it's a double team, and they're climbing to that backer, and they give it to this back who can hit it here or he can hit it there.
He went right up in here, I think.
He went up in there the first time.
Yeah.
Second time, I think he went outside and maybe even scored.
So what was the adjustment they did up front?
This was the adjustment. I love the way.
Which is a great play.
Look at this. Look at how they. Look at that. Don't you love that, Vince? Look at how I'm deleting.
Now
that.
see what they can do too with Sirianni, Jackie. They can do a check with me. What we do sometimes at the line of scrimmage. They would either run this way and
they
then
can do
check
a
it
check
that
with
way.
me. Now, after they did a couple of things over here to the strength of this formation and really got them feeling that, okay, here they are. They're loaded up over here. The ball is coming over here. This guy adjusted. They put that defensive tackle in a 2-eye. He got inside eye of this guard.
Okay.
When they read that, Jason Kelce here is smart enough to say, okay, he can pin this guy. We send this tackle on a tight outside angle on this defensive end. And this guy's the smallest of them all at 295, but he still can run. And he rolled over here. Right. You see, if this guy comes inside, there'll be a combination block between he and the tackle to that backer. If he goes outside, that tackle's going to squash him, and now Jason Kelce can climb on that middle linebacker. That's exactly what they did, Vince. And they inserted that ball, bounced it outside.
And he went right up through there for a touchdown.
For a big play. This right here is an opportunity for Nick Sirianni and his offensive line coach to feature two of the biggest, most physical offensive linemen in pro football. And by the way, Vince, they're technically sound. They don't do crazy stuff with their arms. They get those hands up inside and they get a fit. He who controls the other man's chest always wins. Not some of the time, but all the time. They capture these guys' chests, move them off the football, and insert the ball in there.
So if you win at the line of scrimmage, you generally win the game.
If you win the football game right here.
Right, that's it.
Where the big guys are. These five guys right here average 324 pounds.
Jackie, it sounds like you're getting ready to get up there and play a
I'm
little bit.
ready to do it. I'm ready to do it. I get excited.
Let me draw
I know
something.
how important it is.
I'm going to draw something now. Watch, I got to show you something. Okay.
Oh, by the way, one other thing that occurs when this happens is that you're controlling the ball, you're moving the chains, and you're getting more reps. And as long as you're getting reps, that means the other guys aren't. And this enhances your ability to win the ball game.
Can I erase it?
Yes,
Okay,
you
watch
may.
this. Watch this. There we go. Boom. Okay, I'll switch sides with you. All right, here we go. Now, this is Andy Reid's innovative offense. And this is the first time I've seen this play all year long. And this is what he dreams up, Jackie. When coaches sit there in the drawing room, this is what they're dreaming up. And if that's all you have to do, you can dream up some great plays. There's the line of scrimmage. There's your 5-down lineman. Now, they're in a gun formation. The quarterback's here. But now we're on a rebel formation, which it means the wide receivers on the B side. This would be the A side. He's over here. Now what they do is they do a snug formation where they have the tight end here, which is the Y, and you have the H there, and Ramo right, which would be X here and Z here. Okay, so everybody's snug to the line of scrimmage. And what they did is ran a Z, and he runs a zing, which is a zing motion here. The ball is snapped before he gets here. But what's interesting about this,
how does that impact the defense, him coming in there like that?
Well, what they think is maybe it could be a jet sweep. It just movement. Any movement prior to the snap of the ball, changes the defense. They have to make it on the move, adjustments. And typically, they're not as adept. So when you have movement, it's good. And a lot of teams use movement all the time. They're moving formations all around. With this particular formation, a lot of people like the snug formation. So what happens is with this motion, Jackie, he's in a position now on the move. The ball is snapped to the quarterback. This B back here, we run what we call a post, sail up. Now, normally they'll just keep to the sail, but what's interesting about this is they ran the sail in an up route. So if they get lost in this coverage and they start to attract it to the post and no one's out there, the corner seeps in, you might have a touchdown throw by Mahomes. He'll see that quick. If he doesn't have it, what they're really trying to accomplish on this play is get this back, which is McKinnon. He's number 1. They put him on a throttle, which is a trail technique behind that post. And that was wide open. You've never seen, no teams ever run this route all year long. This guy ran the motion and he is in a flood outlet. So if I don't have it there, I can dump it here. It's a scat formation, Jackie. He runs an in, which is complementary to that route. And when you say scat, that means that there is nobody blocked if a linebacker should come, and you could always scat to this guy here.
Well, and if the linebacker comes, the linemen have a dual read.
They can have a dual read.
The most dangerous two of the 3 guys that
so you could block 5 guys theoretically with these guys. If 6 come, then you have to scat. But anyway, typically they'll try to cover that, and that was a beautifully designed play, Jackie. That play was completed for a big gain, first down. They went on and scored a touchdown on that drive. So this is Andy Reid's theory. This is what makes teams so effective in the playoffs. Well, I guess that's it for this, Jackie. We'll clear that.
How about that?
And we'll go, whoops. No, we'll clear it again. We'll X out. Right, Jackie?
Yes, and slide it over. All right.
Hey, we're done, man. Good job, buddy. All right. Well, we figured that out.
We got the telestrator down.
Yeah, man, that's pretty fun. I'll tell you what. Manhattan Beach Studios. How did they dream that up?
Manhattan Beach Studios.
I like that, man. That's
fantastic.
Good. That's good. Well, Jackie, you know, there was a big story today that broke coaching change. You know, it just leaked in the ESPN. So our viewers, if they're listening to our show, they'll get the word out. It's Sean Payton. Where's he going to go?
He's going to Denver. He's going to Denver. And you know, Vince, I thought to myself, I have never seen a debacle like what I saw in Denver this past year. How is it that arguably one of the finest, certainly in the top 10, and maybe even higher than that in the minds of some people when you look at the history of Russell Wilson, how can a guy go from having that kind of success to being just downright miserable? I mean, he was awful to watch. He seemed he didn't seem like he had any confidence. He just didn't trust. I didn't think he trusted his offensive line, and that was just a myriad of problems that you would think would not exist with a guy of his caliber.
Yeah.
But when I thought about it, I thought to myself, what he needs, because when you think about it, Vince, Russell Wilson went over there out in the offseason while they were working on the deal. They knew they were going to get the deal done. He was over there in the offseason. He pulled all the skilled guys together. They were throwing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't structured. It wasn't organized, but they were throwing and using terminology and getting comfortable with each other. So he had a head start. It wasn't as if he didn't have a head start on that. He just reported to camp. He had a head start on it all. And
but what's Sean Payton going to add?
And it just fell apart.
I know.
Now, what's going to happen with Sean is he's going to bring systematic operational protocol to that position, first of all, which I think Russell needs. I think he needs that discipline. And now, once he operates in this systematic operational protocol for the quarterback, then he's going to be given the red flag to come out of that and be Russell Wilson, to make plays out of that.
And Sean Payton is such a bright mind that I think he can figure out Russell Wilson, as he did the quarterback that came from the Chargers, Drew Brees.
Oh, yes.
You know, Drew Brees came from the Chargers. He made him a star. But you know, Russell Wilson's already a star, Jackie. Like you say, there's got to be a certain amount of protocol that's going to be developed in this system that he'll have to adapt to.
Yes.
And he'll know what he's effective doing.
Absolutely.
And what he cannot do. And so I think it might make a big difference in that team.
It's going to make a huge difference. Yeah. That's a big breaking story, and I don't know what they're going to have to give up to get Sean Payton, but it's probably going to be some draft choices and everything, which will enhance the New Orleans Saints football team. But I think the bigger move is seeing Sean go there and work with Russell.
So, Jackie, now, all our focus now is on the Super Bowl game this week, Super Bowl 57. God, we played in Super Bowl 14. That's a long time ago, Jackie.
Yes, don't say that. My back started hurting when you said that.
I know, my back's aching too. But hey, Jackie, they're playing in Phoenix at the State Farm Center, okay? And the last 2 games they had at this field were very entertaining.
Very entertaining.
The Patriots were undefeated. They played the New York Giants. The Giants with Eli Manning. Remember that long pass?
They rolled in there with Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Remember Randy Moss?
And they got beat. The Giants beat them. And then the second time, the Patriots again played Seattle, and what a thriller at the end of that game. You know, when Malcolm Butler.
Give it to the beast.
Why didn't they hand the ball off?
To the beast.
It was like, I just sat there. I sat there at the end of the game just stunned.
I couldn't believe it.
I
could not believe it.
I looked at my wife, and we both looked at the game and said, could you
world?
Believe that just happened?
Somebody got a little too cute for their own good.
So is this game going to be entertaining? They're going to be playing in Phoenix. I mean, you have the Eagles playing the Chiefs.
I think it's going to be one of the greats. It's going to be one of the greats of all time because I like Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback, but I love Jalen. I love him. I love his offensive line. It's been a long time since we've seen an offensive line of this caliber, in my opinion, of this caliber. This offensive line has literally carried this team to where they are right now with Jason Kelce leading them.
They're the focal point.
And Lane Johnson and a lot of those two big tackles. You just cannot underestimate what they are capable of doing. And I don't care if it's Chris Jones. It's not like these guards are big. These guards are big, physical, nasty guys. So Chris Jones is going to have to earn everything he gets, Vince. And I can just see it being just a great day for the people in Philadelphia. They're going to be flying high.
How do you build a team like that with that offensive line? You know, what kind of money, what salary do you have to attract 5 of those good players like that?
What's the general manager's name? What's the general manager's name? Is it Josh Rosen or something like that? What's his name?
I think so.
This guy, I mean, think about it. The general, I can't think of his name right now, but the guy has built 2 Super Bowl teams in 5 years, Vince, with 2 head coaches and 2 different quarterbacks.
What's the other team?
No, this team. I'm talking about this is the second time he's taken the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl in 5 years. So 2 different teams with 2 head coaches and 2 quarterbacks. At least Andy Reid has had the same special quarterback for all of these years.
True. That's true.
It says a lot about the acquisition of talent that the general manager has done there. It says a lot about the coaching decisions that he has made because there's a perfect blend of coaching to go along with these talented big people and how he uses them, all of the guys actually. And so it's a unique organization. This guy, in my opinion, has done more than any general manager in the league over the last 5 years that would warrant being considered a Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Well, if you want to win 14 games a season, I think they went 14-3 or 15-2, something like that, Jackie. Maybe you need to build up an offensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles have. But you know what? Each and every week, Jackie, it's a crazy and wacky NFL schedule, and we see some crazy plays. But you know, one of your favorite things of all time.
What in the world? What in the world?
What happened in that Eagles?
What in the world?
Not the Eagle game.
First of all,
that was crazy. But
you're talking about Joseph Osai, right?
I'm talking about the Bengals and the Chiefs game. At the end of the game, exactly.
Yeah, you're talking about Joseph Osai. The kid was sitting there on the sideline after the game. They put the cameras on. He's crying and sobbing and all of that. And the reality of it all, that was just one play. That was just one play. When you look at the whole game, this game was lost on a lot of different plays.
Yeah.
But this right here now, this has to be one of the what in the world. I like that. You know, I don't want to be too hard on the kid because he's taking it hard.
No.
He felt like he let his team down.
I thought you were going to say Patrick Mahomes. What in the world? He's running like a 40-yard dash.
Now that was a what in the world to me. I'm thinking I grabbed my ankle when I saw him run.
That surprised the entire defense.
It hurt my ankle to see him running, Vince. There's no doubt about it. But when I saw this kid come over there and shove him out of bounds, clearly out of bounds, I'm thinking to myself, where's the situational awareness, man? This is the biggest game you'll probably ever play in your life, and you have to be situationally aware that this guy's clearly out of bounds and you can't hit him. He goes over there and hits him an additional 15 yards. Now, for all practical purposes, that play cost him the game. But you and I both know that it wasn't just that one play.
No.
And so he shouldn't take that with him the rest of his life. He should just realize it was a crucial play, and that his situational awareness needs to improve.
Know your spot, man. Know where you're at on the field.
If he's going to continue to play this game, he needs to be more aware.
I tell you, Zach Taylor, though, was classy. He was classy at the end of that game because he didn't put the blame on any one player. He said, we had a lot of plays in this game that could have changed the outcome of this game. And I tell you what, that team is going to go somewhere. Because when I've seen teams lose a big game like that and come back and win Super Bowls the following year, and if they're going to stay with their team, they're not going to. You know, Joey Burrow's not going anywhere. Too bad he couldn't come to the Rams because we could use him. But anyway,
Vince, one other thing about that team, they had some bad breaks.
Yeah,
I mean they were without some of their key players in their offensive line.
Yeah.
And it was evident with the way the big defensive tackle was taking advantage of them over there.
Yeah.
So, they need to get healthy. I think they need a couple of pieces on their offensive line that they can add that would really enhance Joey Burrow's opportunity. With Joey Burrow, Vince, and ever since you told me this, you told me that Joey Burrow's father was a professional coach and was a defensive coordinator all of his professional life. And I think to myself, where is Joe Burrow's confidence coming from? Well, if I had a son who was an offensive lineman and he asked me, he said, Dad, can you help me block a 3-step drop and keep this guy from getting to the quarterback? Well, I'm going to certainly tell him how to block a 3-step drop and keep the guy from getting to the quarterback. Do you think that Joe Burrow's father, a lifetime defensive coordinator, didn't sit him down and show him the weaknesses of every defensive coverage that there is?
He's very clever, Jackie.
His confidence is born from experience, man.
Exactly. He grew up with it. He had football in his family his whole life. I played with his dad, Jimmy Burrow, and we played at Nebraska together. It was a great free safety, had a lot of speed, and Joe took after him quite a bit. But he really has a knack to play the game. And to be a quarterback, you have to have timing, you have to have anticipation, you have to be accurate with your throws. And he's impeccable sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really remarkable and he can move if he has to.
And
so he adds a lot to that team.
He plays with a confidence that was born from experience, in my opinion.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. I enjoy him. I was in a way, I was kind of looking forward to him smoking one of those big old cigars after the game.
I know. I was looking forward to that too, Jackie. But cool. Jackie, each and every week we have a segment, and we will have to close with this segment. It's time for On Point Live Pick of the Week, and this is Super Bowl week, Jackie, and I'm telling you. Jack, we had a great season this year. We were both wrong last week, but who do you like? Who do you like in this Super Bowl?
Well, you know what? If I, been a former player in the National Football League for as long as I did not recognize and encourage the viewers to recognize the value and the importance of the big guys up front, I would be remiss. So I am looking at the offensive line here at Philadelphia as one of the most uniquely assembled groups that I have seen in a number of years. And I think they're nasty, not only big and tall, but they're nasty, Vince. And I think that football is a big man's game, and that these guys, led by Jason Kelce, are going to be too much to deal with for Kansas City.
Well, Jackie, I'm a quarterback, so I have a little different take on the Super Bowl game. But you always have to make believers out of somebody. And, all year long, I've been going against Philadelphia. But again, I have to rely on what's coming into my own view and the knowledge of the team that's playing, their experience factor. And I have to go with the passing game. I'm going to go with Mahomes. He's been terrific for year in and year out. He found a way to beat the 49ers when he had to. I hope his leg is better. I think it will be better in a couple weeks.
I do too.
But again, I'm gonna have to go with the underdog. Okay. And so we're opposite each other. But
absolutely. You're going with the quarterback.
That's why we watch the game. I'm going with the
O-line.
That's right. That's right, man. Your offense, and we're both offense, but your offensive line, I'm quarterback. Well, anyway, we really had a great time visiting with all our viewers. But Jack, you really have to share with the viewers how they can get involved with us if they're interested.
I tell Vince all the time. I said, Vince, what could we be doing right now to have more fun? I don't think there's anything that Vince and I could be doing than having as much fun as we're doing now. We get to go and do some research during the course of the week, look at the games just like everybody else, and then apply our professionalism to these games. And so Vince and I are having a great time, and we're enjoying having you guys along for the ride. I mean, we encourage you guys to call in and give us your comment. Go down, give us a thumbs up, let us know. If you have questions in the comment box, ask us those questions and we'll get back to it. We're going to be having you call in and participate as we go along. We're having a lot of fun, and we want you to enjoy it and be along with us on this ride.
And you can do that by emailing onpoint@manhattanbeachstudios.net. onpoint@manhattanbeachstudios.net. So for Jackie, I'm Vince Ferragamo. We want to thank you for watching. So watch us again next week as we stay on point.